Hi, I'm going to show you how to recreate a Moodle Book's table of contents in Canvas. For this example, we have imported the Moodle content into Canvas, and so the pages are all there, the content is all there in Canvas, but we need to recreate that table of contents. So if you look over here in Moodle, this table of contents that you see when you create a book. That doesn't exist in Canvas, but we can come close. So I'll show you how. So go to your Canvas course where the Moodle content has been imported, and you'll notice if we go to the modules area and look for a lesson as it's been titled in here, that here's the first one. And the way it looks in here is just a header. So in Canvas you have something called a text header that you can add, and so that's how this label came over from Moodle as a header. So there's no page here. So the first thing we want to do is create a page to put our table of contents for the Moodle book pages that came over. And you're not seeing them here. I'll explain that in a minute. But let's just go ahead and create a page. So new content page here in Canvas. And we'll call it Lesson 1 Table of Contents. Add the item. Let's move it where we want it. And I'm going to just remove this header. It's not really doing anything for us here. Alright, so now I've got a content page. It's a completely blank slate. And so what we'll be doing here is editing it. And you can add a little introduction, provide some context, maybe the objectives of the lesson, and then the table of contents. So what we'll be doing is linking to all of the pages of the books. So let's just save this first before we move out of here. I'll go ahead and save and publish it. And we'll go find our pages for this lesson. So I'm clicking on Pages, View All Pages, and we need, I'll collapse this little course menu, we need to find all the pages for that particular book. So over here in Moodle, I've got Moodle opened up for this first lesson. And we could put some of this content on our table of contents page. But what I want to do first here is find all of the pages that will go on the lesson for the table of contents. Okay, so we've started out. There's this learning objectives page, but then the page after that, that's the page we're looking at, is called Images of the Family. So we need to find that down here. Images of the Family 1, 2, and 3. That's not quite the order that they appear over here, but so we've got this first page, Images of the Family. Let's rename it. And we're going to call this is lesson 1, so I'm going to call it 1.1. And I think this will make sense once I do a few of these. You'll see where I'm headed. We're looking for Critique of Family as Haven, so let's go find that. Rename that 1.2. The next page is Images of the Family 2. Let's find that. Edit. It'll be 1.3. And let's just do one more before we move on to the next step. Images of the Family 3. So let's grab that one too. And that will be 1.4. And save it. Okay, so we're renaming here. 1.2 we're not seeing. If we sort, we're in our pages area, sort by the page title, it'll reorder those and they'll appear here at the top because now they're numbered in order, in the order that we want here in our table of contents. Okay, but these pages will stay here in this pages area. Students do not have direct access to this, and the way they will access these pages is from the table of contents that we'll create back on that page that we created down here, our Lesson 1 Table of Contents page. So click into that. So this could be the point where you come grab some of this content. You could grab it. It exists in Canvas on a page, but you know, here we are in Moodle, so maybe I'll just go ahead and grab some of this that we want to introduce the lesson with. And we'll have to decide if we really want all this on that intro page, because you'll be seeing this in the table of contents. So maybe we really only need the learning objectives here. Let's pop those in. There's the header for us, so we don't need this. You could give a little descriptive introduction of this topic up here perhaps, so maybe we'll make that into a header as well. And then our table of contents should also be a header. All right, so now we're ready to link to our pages. And so I'll collapse this course menu. No, we still can't see it. Let's expand a little bit here. Now we can see this menu over here of Wiki Pages, which are the same as content pages in Canvas. Why they're called Wiki Pages here, I don't know. But now we're seeing our numbered pages that we've just renamed, so we can find them easily. And so I'm going to put my cursor on the page where I want the first link, and then I come over here and I click on that first page, and it will be inserted into our table of contents. So there's the first link to page 1.1, and then I'll hit enter on the keyboard, click on 1.2, click enter on the keyboard, 1.3, 1.4, and so on. You just keep going. So now we've got our table of contents started. I'll click Save. And so you would complete that for all the pages in your lesson. And then you would go into each page, and you can get to it from here now. You could also go back to your Pages area, but let's just work from here. I'm clicking into page 1.1. And what I'd like to do, here's our content for that page. What I'd like to do, though, is at the very bottom, provide a next button to the next page so that the student does not have to go back out to the table of contents to get to the next page. So let's collapse this again, click Edit, and let's just expand it even a little bit more here. There we go. Now we can see these links again. Let's just collapse that a bit. Okay, so moving all the way to the bottom of this page, hitting Enter, and then I'm typing the word next, and then the next page will be 1.2, so click on 1.2, and that gives them a link to that page. And then I'd also like to provide a link back to the table of contents so they can find that easily. So I'll type back to table of contents, and I'd like the phrase table of contents to be my link. And then I need to find that table of contents page, which I called Lesson 1, and we could number it to find it more easily, but I called it Lesson 1 Table of Contents. So now when I click this, it will turn the word Table of Contents into a link to that page. So you can change what the link says here. You're not stuck with whatever it's titled over here. So you just highlight the text and pop in the link on top of the text. Okay. And of course you can do some formatting. You can bold this so it's a little more noticeable. The next. Okay, click Save. So now at the bottom of this page we have next, go to 1.2, or back to table of contents. So let's go on to page 1.2 and do the same thing. Perhaps though, let's just go back for a second. Just so we don't have to recreate this from scratch, I'm just going to copy it. So I'm using Control-C on my keyboard to copy. Let's go on to 1.2 from here. Click Edit. And I'll go ahead and paste that link because that can be exactly the same on this page. Back to table of contents, so I'm not having to recreate that from scratch. But I do want to put in a link to the next page, which in this case will be 1.3. Put that in bold. Save it. You can't click on the links until you save it. So now that I've clicked Save, I can go on to page 1.3 from here. Click Edit. Go down to the bottom. Let's see if I still have that. Yep, I can still paste it. Do next. Now we are moving on to 1.4. Bold. And you just keep on like this. And so if you have your pages numbered, this is the key. You have to have your pages numbered to be able to find them easily over here in order. So you're not fumbling around looking for the pages. So click Save. And so now what we have from the modules area, the student in that module, whoops, where'd it go? I'm using Control F to find Lesson 1 on my page. There it is. So now what they have in this module is a page with a table of contents with links to each of those other pages. So this minimizes the module. Otherwise you would have, how many pages here? You know, a dozen pages, separate pages in your modules, right, which would make that module really long. So instead we're basically moving those links into a single page so the student can just click from here. And that's it.